It's time for a little comedy, a little content, and a lot of conversation. It's the Geno Jones Show, exclusively right here on YouTube. Now here's your host, Geno Jones.
It's showtime. What's happening, everybody? We made it to another weekend. Yes, we did. I guess you kind of figured out who I am. And you should never assume, because you know what they say. When you assume, you make a, you know what, out of you and me. I am Geno Jones. This is the Geno Jones Show. It is a daily variety show, and I do it live. I stream it live on my YouTube channel, Monday through Friday, 6:30 p.m. So please, like, share, tag, and subscribe, okay? Like, share all the episodes, tag them on all your social media platforms and pages. You can tag the link, or you can just go ahead and share the entire episode. I upload these up on Facebook, on my Facebook pages, and I have links on YouTube and Twitter. Like, share, tag, and subscribe. I got a goal. I want to get 100,000 new subscribers by the end of the year. For those who would like to be a sponsor on the Geno Jones Show, listen, let's support black businesses and black entrepreneurs in this era and age of racial reckoning on this Juneteenth Day weekend, where Juneteenth Day is officially a federal holiday, the 11th federal holiday in America, the first federal holiday, brand new federal holiday since the King birthday holiday in 1983. So it's all about supporting the culture and the cause and being anti-racist. So to all my white brothers and sisters who are allies, and if you feel black lives really matter, black dollars matter, and black businesses matter. So go ahead and support a brother. Reach out to me right here. You can leave me a message on my YouTube channel, or you can email me, GenoJonesShow@gmail.com. I'll give you that information at the end of the show. So, Juneteenth week. Big Juneteenth week celebration here in the Low Country in the Charleston, South Carolina metro. I'll be hosting one of the big Low Country Juneteenth week events on Juneteenth Day tomorrow evening, 5:30 p.m. until 7:30 p.m. I'll be broadcasting live my day job, my radio show on Star 99.7. You can check it out online, star997.com. Normally I'm on 10 in the morning until 3 Eastern time, but I'll be broadcasting live from a location, a venue, an outdoor venue here in the Charleston metro area. Tony is going to be your headlining act. Their first time here in the Charleston area, which it's hard to believe. So we got a busy weekend, and this is the first weekend, like I was saying, where Juneteenth Day. Now, for those who do not know, Juneteenth Day, June 19th, 1865, 250,000 of our ancestors, brothers and sisters, who were still enslaved, in bondage, did not realize until June 19th, 1865, that Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation on January 1st, 1863. Now, how lousy and trifling and shiftless and criminal was it that those brothers did not find out until the Union Army rolled up like a brother rolling up on somebody at a nightclub 2.5 years later. 250,000 black people who were legally freed were still enslaved and had to deal with and endure all the hatred, the murder, the rape, and the atrocities of enslavement for 2.5 years. Additionally, so anyway, that's the short history, just in case for those who might be watching and saying, what is Juneteenth? What is Juneteenth Day, and why is it being recognized? So let's not commercialize it, okay? Listen, I ain't knocking anybody's hustle. Go ahead and sell your Juneteenth Day t-shirts and your buttons and your caps and all that, but it's not about the commercialization. It is about, like I said, entrepreneurs, black entrepreneurs and black businesses. But let it be a day of not just celebration, but action as we come together to form networks. And because there's such a long list I mean, there's a long, there's like a list to Santa Claus from the planet. Every kid on the planet. There's a long list of things like the John Lewis Voting Rights Bill and the For the People Voting Rights Bill and the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act. And you've got nearly 400 laws in 49 states that have been signed off or that have been written to not just suppress voting rights and the voting rights of black and brown people, but to nullify. Nullify. Do you know the word nullify? You don't have to Google it. Nullify means to just completely get rid of, to just throw away, just erase it. Like you take an eraser on a blackboard and you write a name up there and you just erase it. That is what nullification means, voter nullification. So we'll get into that conversation. But the conversation that I really want to get into is about fathers. Yes, Sunday is Father's Day. And I'm going to have a conversation like we would in the barbershop. We're sitting around waiting for the game to come on tonight or whatever. I want to have a conversation, and I've been honored. I got two brothers that are going to join me. I hope to have a third special guest. But my guests are the founder and CEO of Palmetto Hope Network and Real Men Against Domestic Violence, Butch Kennedy, my brother, and the executive director of the Low Country Youth Services, a brother that I am honored to meet for the first time. I've heard a lot of great things about this brother, a millennial brother, you know, because, you know, us Generation Zers and like the baby boomers passing us the torch. Us Gen X's and the Gen X's, we got, it's like a relay race. We're going to pass it to the millennials, and the millennials are going to pass it to the Generation Z, and we're going to keep this thing going. So, Rashawn Lewis. So, ladies and gentlemen, without any further delay, let me bring on camera. There they are. My guests for tonight, like I said, Butch Kennedy, my man, the founder, CEO, Palmetto Hope, the Palmetto Hope Network, and Real Men Against Domestic Violence. And
what's up, Geno?
Lewis. Gentlemen, how we doing,
bro?
All right.
Doing good, man. Doing good, man. You said that perfectly, man. The millennial brothers, man, and passing the torch, man. If there's anybody that I could pick to pass the torch to, it would be the young gentleman below, man. Rashawn,
Wow.
man. He's a phenomenal young brother, man, and I'm so proud of some of the things that he does in our community, man. And it makes me feel good to realize that there's brothers out there that are doing the right thing within our community, man. And he'll be the first one to tell you that he's not the only one, right?
Praise God.
That's what I love the most about these brothers, because I had lost a lot of faith in what we were gonna do as far as leadership in our community is concerned, man. And then I met these brothers, man, and I started following. But I didn't even know you knew Eric, man. I did not know you knew Eric, man, because Eric is on our board of directors, and we had a conversation about him just yesterday, man.
And for those who are watching it, don't know, Eric is part of your organization, Butch. For the viewers who may not know who that is.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah. He know. I'm sorry. We're having a conversation.
Eric Jackson.
Eric is.
Eric Jackson.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a phenomenal bunch of young men, man. Young men that impressed me as being great fathers. And when I think about people like Rajan, I think that the difference between me and him is I think that he had a great father, right? You had a great example. So you're still close with your father. Am I correct?
My father actually passed away 3 years ago, but I had a great relationship with my father, my grandfather, and a host of uncles. So I've definitely been a recipient of the village for sure.
All right, well, let's hold on. Let's officially jump this thing off. So let me go ahead. Butch is my man, but he wants to co-host the show, which is great. But let me just put the brakes on. Let's do this thing right. Let me first of all say Happy Father's Day to both of you brothers. I am honored to have you. So Butch, you led out for me. You in the lead-up position, and you got on base. You got that base hit. So let's just continue the conversation. So Butch, let's. Let me start off because there's so many different directions, but let's do this thing organically. Let's just, I want y'all just to loosen up. The three of us, like I said, man, we just sitting around the house. Like if you guys came by the house, you're down here in the studio. I convert the studio into like, a man cave. It's just where we sit and watch the game. And we just want to talk about being a dad and fatherhood and and what it means to us, and the definition, our definition of being a dad. So, Butch, I want to start off with you and let me just start off with this question. What does being a dad mean to you?
Being a dad is everything to me, man. It's everything to me. I'll never forget when my daughter was born, and I actually got to hold her in my hand for my first time, man. It was the most amazing feeling that I've ever had, man. It's truly unconditional, man. I never thought that I could love the way that I love until I held my daughter in my hands for the very first time.
What is the best thing about? I'll make this a two-part question. What's the best thing about being a dad for you? What's the hardest thing or the most challenging thing about being a dad for you?
Well, the best thing about being a dad to me now is knowing that my daughter is grown and she's self-sufficient. She can take care of herself, but she's still a daddy's girl. You know what I mean? So she still calls me. As a matter of fact, I was just on the phone with her about 15 minutes ago before you called. She's
shout
an
her
amazing
out.
young lady.
Well, shout her out, man. We gonna recognize.
Shell. She's probably gonna be listening to this as well, man.
Good.
She's a phenomenal woman, man. She's gone through college. She's doing her own thing. She's made me a grandfather now. I have a great grandson, man, and he's a whole lot of fun, man. We were in Charlotte the weekend before last, and I got to hang out with him, man. There's no better feeling, man, than watching your kids raise their kids, right? So that's just a great feeling, man.
I haven't got there yet. I'm not rushing. My wife is, but I'm like, but I know I don't have any say or control in that. That's right. My oldest daughter. She's married now, so I listen. I'm just out of that. I have no say, no input. I don't need to have any say or input. You know, if my wife had her way, it would happen like yesterday. So, but that's a whole different conversation. What was the hardest thing, or what is the hardest thing for you about being a dad, or maybe the biggest challenge, however you want to?
The hardest thing for me was letting go, right? When my daughter got married, that was the hardest thing for me to let go, man, because this is my little girl, man, and now somebody else is the man in her life, right? That was the hardest thing for me, man, and I still wrestle with it sometimes. You know what I mean? See, you're still my baby. You better treat her right. You know what I mean? You are still my baby girl, man, and you know, but she knows, man. She knows that daddy loves her. And I got two daughters, so they know that daddy loves them, man, and you know, but letting go, man. Letting go, let them spread their wings.
Wow. Ooh,
I mean,
man,
it's amazing. But you get to see that phenomenal growth in them, though, man. That's what's important, man.
But you like Lauryn Hill, you like Roberta Flack, dude, you killing me softly. As a matter of fact, you ain't killing me softly. You hitting me like a Tyson uppercut with that one. But boy, that hit so close to home, letting go.
Yeah.
Because I gotta confess, that was it's not as hard. I'm gonna just be honest. It's not as hard because every day I realize, listen, she's an adult, she's in her 30s, she's married, she's got a husband. One day they're gonna start a family. That's the cycle of life. But she is still my boogie. She is my firstborn, and she knows, well, I always tell her that, listen, I respect that you have a life now, and you know, you will have a family, you have a husband, but I'm here beyond eternity. I'm here for forever and a day. I'm not here forever. I'm here for forever and a day, and ain't nothing changed. My love for you, I'm still that ride. I'll ride all the way out. My son-in-law knows. We had a conversation when he came right down in this room, and he had asked me for a hand. So I had explained to him. I just said, listen, if things go sideways, for whatever reason, you don't want her around, you don't want her, whatever, just don't put your hands on her. You don't want to call me, I'll come get her. Understand, I looked him in his eyes, said, this is not a threat. I'm not trying to be a tough guy. But since you asked me for her hand, I'm going to be man enough to tell you, this is the rule of the road for me. I will understand this. I'll die for my daughters.
Exactly. You want her to, if he doesn't want her anymore, you want him to return her in the same condition that he received her.
Oh, no, wait a minute. No, let me just say this. No, you ain't got to return her. I got this.
Yeah, there you go.
All you need to do is just get out the way. Just don't put your hands on her.
That's right.
You know, for doctors, people go to med school, one of the first things that doctors learn, one of their oaths, part of the oath is to do no harm. So do no harm, partner. You don't have to do anything. I'll fly and get her. She'll have a plane ticket. All she has to do, I'll make sure she gets to the airport, gets on the plane. I got this. You don't have to do anything. Just do no harm. That was my message. So yeah, that was good.
Amen.
So Brother Rashawn, let's bring you in here, man. I want to get your perspective about being a dad from a millennial, especially being a black male millennial, because obviously your generation, we all as black men have the same challenges. But I've talked having a millennial daughter and a son-in-law. There's still challenges that are just different because every generation has different challenges. So Butch told me that you are a dad. What's the best thing about being a dad for you?
Thank you so much for that. Thank you for having me. The best part of it being a dad, I'm blessed to be a father of 5 wonderful children. And the best part about being a dad is knowing that I have the ability to make sure that I correct some of the mistakes that was made from the previous generations that came before us, and giving children the guidance that they need to be successful long term. But not necessarily forming them into the way that I would want them to be, but allowing them to be the best versions of themselves. That to me is the most important thing as a dad. The best part about being a dad is the unconditional love that they give me. My children make me feel very loved. In our home, I think we cultivate an atmosphere where they feel welcome and open to speak freely, in a not in a disrespectful way, but definitely always to express themselves in effective ways, to let us know what they need, and to make sure we're maximizing the love that we give them. So to me, that's the best thing is when I feel the love that they have for me as their father, and the person, that they put so much trust in as their father, and being able to live up to what a father is supposed to be in their eyes.
So Rashawn, shout your kids out, man, because you about to catch it with Nick Cannon, brother. He got number 7 on the way.
We have.
You say you done?
So me and my wife have been blessed to have 5 beautiful children. My oldest daughter is Ariana. She's 20 years old. She's at Trident Tech. Shout out to Ariana.
Beautiful.
Vari is 19. She's at Clemson. I'm proud of her. Love you, baby. My daughter Natasha's a rising senior at Somerville High School, and then we have twin 13-year-olds, RJ and Isis, who are at DeBose Middle School and Rollins School of the Arts, respectively.
Wonderful. So you are a girl and a boy dad. I'm a girl dad. I got 2 daughters, Boogie, as I call her, Lauren, aka Boogie, and Allie, Alexandria. So I'm a straight girl dad. But you are a girl dad too.
I'm a girl dad. Yes, I'm a girl dad as well, man.
Yeah,
girl dad as well.
I have 4 girls and 1 boy. We kept trying till we got to the boys. So
I got you. So the missus said you done.
Shop closed.
Yeah.
Shop closed.
Oh, wait a minute. I don't know. We might be related because your wife sounds like Damaris.
Shop closed.
I had that conversation about it. Well, it really wasn't a conversation about a decade ago. It was a look. If looks could kill, I would have been dead on arrival. It was like, partner.
Yeah. So my wife actually told me when we started dating, she said, any kids you're going to get out of me, you're getting out of me before I turn 26. And the twins were born on were due her 26th birthday.
I love it.
So yeah, that was it.
Sister said, hey, because at the end of the day, partner, I got the final say in this. So please don't get it twisted. So
right.
you own the clock. So get busy.
Right.
Oh wow. So I want to go back to Shauna. You were talking about the mistakes that you saw, the mistakes that maybe your dad or grandparents, grandfather, great-grandfather may have made and passed on. And let's have that conversation. And this is important because it's not about blaming, because as we grow older, as we become men, and then we really, if we're blessed enough to sit down and really have just an honest, open conversation and really try to understand, because everybody's got a story. And learn the story of who and what made the people in our lives our fathers, whether they were there or not. And let me just say this: DNA don't make you a daddy. DNA makes you a sperm donor. Being a daddy, you have to put in the work. That's what being a parent is: putting in the work. The DNA part, that's the easiest part. Anybody can do that. Anybody can be a sperm donor. You can have sperm donated. You don't even need humans. They got machines for that. So that's the easy part. But what's the best lesson or the most important lesson that you learned from some of the mistakes that you talked about from the past in your family?
When I speak of mistakes, I really mean generationally, not necessarily of my particular father or my grandfather. I think people do the best they can with the information that they have, and I think that people really try to create, with what they have and the level of information that they have, they do the best they can. I just honestly, that's the way I feel. But I mean, historically, if we look at the history of the Black community in America, we know that there was a time where Black families were upheld. And then we know that there was a time where that mantle was passed, and then we dropped that mantle in a lot of ways, especially us Black men. If we look at the crack epidemic, the crack era, and what happened as a resulting after that. We can speak to the issues when we talk about governmental interference in our communities. We can talk about that, but there was definitely a generation or two where Black men were not in the homes, whether that be because of the systematic oppression that was put into place. Talk about drugs infiltrating the community, talking about the way that, if you will, single mothers are uplifted over the appearance of a Black father in a home. We can look at all those things, but we can definitely tell that there has been an increase in single parent homes and a lack of Black fathers in homes. So when I say that, I'm talking more about the fact that I grew up in a single parent home. My father was definitely in my life. I love my dad. I love my dad to death. But my brother's fathers were not in their lives. And, because of that, my brothers had certain scars that I didn't have to grow up with. I was grateful to have, like I mentioned earlier, my grandfather and a host of uncles that I could go to for that support. And so what I've tried to do, in speaking in those terms, is to find the best pieces of all of those men that were in my life and try to impart all those things into my children in the best way that I possibly can. Me and my wife talk about our kids like we're a corporation and our kids are each their own company. So, if we're Procter and Gamble, this is the way we talk about it. We're Procter and Gamble. Each of our kids is their own company. We have Tide, we have Oral-B, we have Dove, we have Colgate, and you have all of these. And each of those companies needs something different to be successful. I wouldn't give Oral-B the same thing that I would give Tide because they're two different types of companies. Yeah, exactly. They have two different types of staffing. They have two different types of resource needs. So with our children, I try to find those things for my father. Like for my father, maybe I pull being stern in certain situations, but maybe for my grandfather, I pull loving kindness in a place where I would use stern in other places. But that comes back to knowing your kids, building that individuality within that. Also, in the Black community, there's been a lack of, there's been a lack of emotional support that's been provided by fathers in a lot of cases. And I try to make sure that one thing my father instilled in me, and it wasn't until I started writing a book, which I can talk about later, about men and their stories through the lens of having fathers in their lives, that I understood that so many Black men, including my father, was never told by his father that he loved him. So my father made a point of it to tell me that he loved me every time he saw me. I wasn't in his home, but I knew that if I saw my dad was going to tell me he loved me. Wow. He made him not spoiled. He was not going to spare the rod and spoil the child. But he would tell me he loved me, and he would talk to me, and he would make sure he imparted wisdom into me. And that was something that my father did intentionally. That's something I try to do with my children, is to take that, and again, like I said earlier, not only but tell them I love them, but also show them I love them by giving them the language to be able to express themselves effectively.
Wow. Butch, Rashawn has opened up so many doors, brother. I don't know which one to walk in. I need to be able to walk into 4 or 5 at one time. Let me rewind real quick. I want to address this one thing first. I'm trying to do some kind of order, but this is an organic conversation. We talk about a lot of things in terms of how dads, Black men, were systematically kept out of the houses, especially in the 70s when it came to people who needed public assistance, or i.e. welfare, to where it was, so there were laws on the books that said that a family could not receive welfare, financial assistance, if they were in a low income situation, if the man lived in the house. So we talk about, and we could go on and on and on in terms of talking about the epidemic of crack, or just the infusion of drugs in our communities in the 80s. This was intentional. So I think it's really important to understand that the attack on black people, specifically black men, since we are talking about Father's Day, it was intentional. There was a Southern strategy, politically speaking, back in the late 60s, the Nixon administration, Lee Atwater, there was a Southern strategy, and I don't want to go too deep down this political rabbit hole, but in terms of using the criminal justice system to continue the system of white superiority, white supremacy. All this was systematic. Laws were used. Things were allowed to happen in communities. Crime was allowed to happen. Crime was really underwritten. Guns and drugs. As a matter of fact, that still sounds a lot like 2021. Not that much has changed. So it's not about making excuses, but it's about you have to tell the truth, because there's a story. You have to get to the root of any problem. If you're having a pain in your side, or if you're having a headache, you go to the doctor. Say, I got a pain, but they'll run tests, an MRI, X-rays, or whatever, because they got to get the root. What is causing the pain? And what we have to do as black men, I just encourage us to get to the root of the pain. So, Butch, I want you to jump in. You can give us like a Cliff Notes version. Just talk about, if you want to talk about your dad, or just talk about what were your biggest influences, positively and negatively. We're speaking truth here. It's just like I said, what I hope to do, the reason I wanted to do this, I just wanted us to have a very open, honest conversation, and hope that there'll be some men, specifically guys, because it is Father's Day, or maybe some women who watch this, they can their son can watch this, or maybe their spouse or brother or whoever can watch this and maybe take something positive, like Rashawn was saying. Listen, it's like, okay, you know what? Even a broke clock is right twice a day, so it can be a lot of wrong. So you got 10 hours, you got 22 hours that could be really wrong, but 2 of them hours are going to be right. So we hope to use this platform. My goal is to use the platform, is that there can be some healing, some education, or just some bonding. We can share something with some men out there to help them be a better father and a better man. So I'm gonna let you jump in and take the floor there, Butch.
I mean, it was deep, man. Everything that Rajan just said. I mean, I'm your brother, Rajan. My dad was not there for me. Okay, so every time that your father told you that they loved you, my father has never told me that he loved me. Never to this day ever told me that he loved me. My father, for the first time that he ever told me that he was proud of me, was when I was on CNN during the Hillary Clinton era, when Hillary Clinton was running against Bernie Sanders in the primary, and we were on CNN and we were talking about that, and he happened to see it on TV. And my father sends me this text, and I'm driving down the highway, and my father sends me this text, and I'm like, I got a text. So I stopped, pulled over on the side of the road, and it's a text from my father, and he said, I just saw you on CNN. I'm so proud of you. Now, my father had never said anything like that to me before in my life. I was on the side of that road for 15 minutes, Geno. For 15 minutes, man. I cried like a baby for 15 minutes, because my father, like I said, never told me he loved me, right? But that was the fuel that I used. I always told my daughters, just like your father tells you, every day I tell them that I love them, right? I tell everybody that knows me, knows that I'm going to tell everybody that I love you. Right? And everybody's like, well, where does that come from? Where did that come from? My father never told me. I don't want you guys to ever think that somebody doesn't love you, because I love you all. Right? So that was the few, and I wrote about this in my book as well. So, I mean, the way that I was reared, I had, like Rajan had, he had his grandfather. I had my uncle, man. My uncle John Wesley, man. He was my dude, man. He was the guy that I considered saved my life, because I could have went out in the streets. I could have done a lot of bad things. But he was the one who looked out for me. He was the one that, that I respected and admired as a man. And he was the one that I wish was my father. But then I realized, that the father that I got made me the man that I am today, right? I mean, he might not have done the things that I wanted him to do, but if he didn't do the things that I wanted him to do, I wouldn't be the person I am today. Because I tried so hard to please him, I was real good in school and I became an engineer, right? So I'm an engineer because my father, I tried to impress him all my life. So I tried to do things. I tried to be the better person, the best person that I could be, the best version of myself. And I mean, regardless of what I do, all the accolades I've received, all that stuff that I received, and all the awards and everything that I've ever gotten in my life were done because my father was the type of person that he was, whether he understands it or not. And as I became older in my life, as I got older, I realized, that we as men, right, there's certain things that we as men can do. Showing emotion is not something that we as men do very well. So my father, in his emotionless state, that I would say, he didn't treat all his kids the same though. So that's what bothered me. I mean, she showed the love to my brother, he showed the love to my sister and to all of the other kids, but I was just a different one, right? But I'm the one that's more driven than all the rest of them, and I'm the one that shows and shows everybody how much I care about them more than the rest of them. So I pay tribute to my dad as much as I can. I mean, yeah, go ahead.
No, finish, please. Finish your thought.
I have a hard time reconciling those issues, but I've come to the conclusion that, without those issues, I don't do what I do. Without those issues, I'm not in the community doing what I'm doing. I'm not working with kids trying to make sure that someone's out there that cares about them, right? So without my dad, man, there's a lot of people out there that I probably would just be an engineer probably or doing something different, but, I wouldn't probably care as much about my community and other things as I would because I was missing something, right? So I wanted to make sure that I filled that back up. So, yeah.
So there's a similar storyline that you and I both have. There were some negative things I witnessed in terms of domestic violence. The man that was married to my mother, he is my sister's dad. I tried to fight. I tried to tackle him. I ran and I leaped at his legs and I tried to knock him down when I was 4 years old. So that's had a huge influence on me as a man and wanting to make sure that I protect and respect women. So I can understand what you're saying. Listen, before I lose this live shot, because the enemy is always really, really busy. And this is the conversation. I would re-rack it and remix it, but we're live in real time. So before I lose you, brothers, I want you all to close with this, if you can. Give you guys each about a minute and a half to do this for me. If there's one thing that you want to say to any man, especially to us brothers out there, because as black men, our experience in this country is different than any other man. That's just real talk. So, Brother Rashawn, I want to start with you, and then Butch, you'll have that same question. I want you to just from the heart, man, whatever it is. If there's just one message, if there was a room full of brothers and we were in a barber shop right now, like LeBron at the shop, and there was one thing that we want to say to brothers about being a father and about fatherhood, what would that be, Brother Rashawn?
I would say being a father is the best thing smoking. And if you're missing out on it, you're missing out on the greatest thing that you could ever witness. You're missing out on the one calling that God gave us. The thing like we are called to be husbands. We're called to be fathers. We're called to be good husbands, to be good fathers. I would use the remainder of my time to say, if you have a child out there, and this is a plea I make quite often, if you have a child out there that you do not have a relationship with, it's not too late. Reach out, say, hey, I messed up. We're adults. We make mistakes, but I want to build a relationship with you. And that's not going to happen overnight. But if you're consistent, it can happen. And I encourage you to do so. Our children need us, especially as black men. We got to stand up, show up in the homes, and be what we're called to be.
It's beautiful, brother. It's beautiful. If I didn't know better, I would think you saw last night's episode, because it literally, I was like, wow. I thought I was listening to myself talking. It's just beautiful to see other black men across generations that have that same sense. Butch, I don't want to eat up your time. You've got the same question. What's the one thing you would say to brothers out there in terms of just some words of wisdom, or what would you want to speak into them in terms of what being a dad is all about?
Well, I would say everything that John just said, man. I mean, that was funny. You can't get any better than that. I always tell men that we're better than we are perceived, right? The rumor is always that men are no good, and that's not necessarily the truth. So I get the opportunity to talk to men a lot of time. I go to father and talk to men all the time, and these are men that can't get their kids, can't get time with their kids. and they had to work to get to their kids, man. So it's important for them to understand that they're better than society says that they are. And we have so many knocks against us as Black men in our community, right? And we're the first people in the community to turn our backs on one another, man. So letting a brother know that that he's better than he appears and better than society thinks that he is, I think that's a powerful statement for Black men to understand, man. You are more, and you are worth more. You are worthy, basically, is what I tell men all the time.
Butch Kennedy, the executive director, and Butch Kennedy is the founder, CEO of the Palmetto Hope Network and Real Men Against Domestic Violence. And my man, Rashawn Lewis, doing his thing. He's the executive director of Low Country Youth Services. I see that this satellite's about to time me out, so I don't want to have to cuss anybody out. So I want to thank you guys for coming on, and I just want to close. I want to just echo and piggyback on what these brothers said. As a matter of fact, I talked about it last night. I want to close the show with this. The greatest gift that God can give you is the gift of parenthood, the gift of being a dad. It is the greatest high. You're talking about a high, a euphoric feeling, a feeling of joy and happiness. It's hard to put in words. It's greater than any high that alcohol can give you, any drug. It's a greater high than any orgasm. It's a greater high than $100 billion. There is no greater feeling than when you've had a horrible day and you come home, or maybe your child is coming to see you because you got visitation. So maybe they see you every other week or every once a month or whatever it is, and they see you. And they come running down the stairs or across the room or down the street, and they run and they leap into your arms, or they just leap into your legs because they're too tiny to jump up in your arms, and they just grab you around your legs or around your neck and squeeze it so tight and look you in your eye and say, Daddy, I love you. There is no feeling and no high that compares to that feeling. That is the purest form of unconditional love you will ever, 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 ever see in your lifetime. It's the greatest gift. It's the biggest responsibility. And I'm going to repeat something I said on last night's episode in case you missed it. Some advice that my grandmother gave me. Kids don't ask to come here. Let me say that again. For all the brothers and sisters, all the brothers out there, for whatever reason, you haven't seen your child or children in a while, whatever that timeline is. First of all, as long as you got breath in your body, it's never too late. It's never too late. But as Geno Jones, my grandmother, taught me, who raised me with my grandfather and my mother, she said, Jeannie, kids don't ask to come here. So if you become a father, you have an obligation to be the best father you can be, irregardless of whether or not you and the mother gets along, or y'all fell out, or you can't stand each other and cuss each. That has nothing to do with the child. The child didn't ask to come here. And two, the child doesn't have an obligation to establish a relationship with you. So you can't sit back with your pride and your ego and your narcissism and talking about, well, I'm the father and you got to respect me. You need to call me. No, that child did not ask to come here. The responsibility is not on that baby to establish and to reach out and establish a relationship to contact you. It is your responsibility. It is your moral and human obligation to do whatever you can to establish a relationship. Even if it takes a while, the child might not want to talk to you because the child has been hurt, let down, disappointed. They feel resentment, they feel abandonment, they feel discarded, they feel unloved, unwanted, whatever the emotions are. You got to accept that because you created it. Not intentionally. I'm not even blaming you. This is not about blame. This is about what is. I don't know how you got there, but if that's the situation, If those are the feelings of that child, you have to acknowledge that, you have to accept it, you have to appreciate it, and you have to take ownership. Whether it was intentional or not. Maybe you were mad and trying to get back at your baby's mama or your ex-wife or whatever. That child did not ask to come here. That child should not be punished. You can't be punitive toward the child because of whatever grievance, anger, whatever issues the adults have. That's between y'all. Get your shit together. Be the best parent that you can be. Be the best dad that you can be. Because children don't ask to come here. But it's the greatest gift that you can have. And I'm going to just say this. Children can make you a better man. Absolutely. Our children can bring out the best in us. My daughters, Anthony Hamilton has a song. My brother Anthony Hamilton says, giving you the best of me? The kids will bring out the best in you. I would remix that and say, giving you the best of me, you bring out the best in me. Your children can definitely do that if you allow them to do that. And the easiest and best way to allow them to do that is to be the best parent that you can be. Because all kids want, they want your time, they want your love, they want your affection, they want your approval. Yeah, all this materialistic stuff, they want that because we taught them that. When a child comes into this world, they don't know anything about LeBrons or Kobe sneakers or Jordans or some expensive jeans, none of that. PlayStations, they don't know anything about that until we teach them that. But they do know daddy, and they want daddy's love and approval and affection and attention. And that's free. You could be homeless and still give your children attention, affection, love, guidance, and wisdom. The most important things that kids need are free. Yeah, they need a roof over their head, they need shelter, and they need medical care. Yeah, money can buy that. Money can't buy time. It can't buy affection and attention. It can't buy that. That's what our kids really need. Thank you for letting me be a part of your life. As always, God bless each and every one of you. God, most of all, thank you for letting me do the Geno Jones Show. It's my live daily variety show, Monday through Friday, right here live on my YouTube channel. Like, share, tag, and subscribe. I'm adding something extra into it. It's like, share, and subscribe. Like, share all over. Share on as many platforms as you can. Share this episode. You can tag this episode and tell everybody you know to subscribe to the Geno Jones channel right here on YouTube, the Geno Jones Show, live Monday through Friday, 6:30 p.m., 5:30 p.m. Central Time. I'm on East Coast time, obviously. 3:30 p.m. out on the West Coast. All right, if you'd like to be a sponsor, I'd be honored to have you as a sponsor. If you'd like to advertise on the show or the channel, reach out to me. If you need the pitch man, if you need the ultimate pitch man to help you market your product, your business, to help you sell your goods, your service, or your product, I am the king, not the king. I'm the king, a pitch man. I got you. I get results. Yeah, I do. I can show you better than I can tell you. So reach out to me. Leave me a message here on my YouTube channel, or you can send me an email, Geno Jones Show. That's how you spell Geno with a G-E-N-O, Geno Jones Show at Gmail, ladies and gentlemen. Happy Juneteenth Day weekend, tomorrow, Saturday. Happy Juneteenth Day. I don't know when if you're not watching this in real time. Happy Juneteenth Day. If you're watching it Saturday, happy Juneteenth weekend. Happy Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to all the dads and all the granddads and all the great-granddads and all the fathers to be. It's nothing like it. It's the greatest gift that God can give you. And it's the greatest gift that you can give back, the gift of love. Pure, unconditional love affection, attention, wisdom, guidance, support. You can be the wind beneath their wings so your child or children can be the best version of themselves. Not who you want them to be, who they are and who they want to be. Support so they can be the best versions of themselves. Thank you again, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great weekend. I'll be back live right here, The Geno Jones Show, live on my YouTube channel, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Monday. Until then, once again, happy Juneteenth Day weekend. Happy Father's Day. I love you. I really do, Mother. I love you more than life itself. And be blessed.
Subscribe and tune in to the next episode of The Geno Jones Show, exclusively right here on YouTube.